What's up? This is Lance Rock from the Calamities here at the Calamity Corner. I'm here with ATN, bboy ATN, really good friend of mine here out in Vegas. Tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself.
ATN, I represent a crew called Battleborn out of Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm a b-boy.
Yeah. How long have you been dancing?
I started dancing when I was 15 years old, but I started with other styles. Like, a lot of people ask me how long you've been dancing, and they mean how long you've been breaking. But I started with other styles, jazz, ballet, modern, hip-hop choreography. But I've been breaking since I was 22.
There's this idea of perfection or aesthetic or style and technicality that is emphasized and stressed in one kind of dance style, and then there's like breaking where we kind of see perfection and see style and technicality in probably in another direction. Like, do you see that kind of difference, or do you think it's comparative?
I think super dope stuff came out of a lot of mistakes. Like, and if you were to say that you have to do it this way, and you're trying to do a move and you're trying to get it perfect, or what you think is perfect, and you mess up the move and you end up coming up with a dope transition, or it's the way your body does the move naturally and it turns into another move. It could be, I mean, that's the way you do it, and it could be tighter than what you initially set out to do. So you're trying to reach perfection in this one move, but you're creating something else. I think that's one of the best things, the greatest things about breaking.
Yeah. Like,
nothing is really wrong. That's why breaking was the ultimate. When I discovered breaking, like,
that was it.
Nothing came close. Nothing comes close to breaking, in my opinion.
Cool. So you placed second in Battle of the Year 2011. 2011. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I congratulated you like a million times, but I'll still do it. You know what I mean? You and a few others really led the way and really showed that USA finally can make a statement. You know, how long has it been since the last winners? 2001, Havakoro, third place. So shout outs to all USA crews. Shout outs to Havakoro for being the last winners. Third place.
Style Elements, Rock Force crew. Everybody who repped at Battle of the Year. It's not an easy thing to do, I know.
Yeah. So with the show, there's a lot of folks that definitely want to know what was the motivation behind the show. It was definitely a unique show, and one I felt that people had to let soak in for a little bit. So can you explain what was the thought process, and how was it that your crew was able to come up with all that?
We had a director, actually, my good friend Mukhtar Omar Sharif Mukhtar. Shout out to Mukhtar. He directed our show. It was all our choreography, but he helped us come up with the concept, and it was his idea to go in a different direction musically. Like, the whole intro was not breaking music. It was more artsy, you know. Like, and we wanted to make pictures and kind of just, to be honest, like, we wanted to kind of reflect on how we look at breaking through the show, but also hit the categories to try to get to the battle.
Yeah.
We're not a blow-up crew. We're not really like, we don't go out there and try to blow it up, because that's not really how we approach the dance. From beginning to end, you're telling a story, and I feel like every aspect of the dance is important, not just the trick or the move, like the way you present yourself from top to bottom in your run. That's what we wanted to do with the show, and kind of show all the different aspects that we bring.
So that's pretty much what you mean by like how we as a crew see breaking, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people rightfully or wrongfully label you as this footwork. Well, you are the footwork champion, but like this footwork king, this footwork master, you know, all this stuff. And I know you don't call yourself a footwork master or a footwork king, but you definitely are very, very strong and very powerful in that category of breaking. But don't sleep on him, because he definitely has a lot of arsenal, a lot of weapons to deal with. So, but anyway, what's your thought process? You know, what is it that you think about when you're training footwork patterns and and going from one place to another, variations and all that. What is it that you think about when you're training footwork?
Well, it's kind of different now. I'll answer that in two parts. When I was doing a lot of footwork competitions and training for footwork competitions, I would think of just variating everything, just going both directions, going backwards, going forwards, reversing steps. I feel like all my footwork comes from foundation, like a strong foundation of basic movements. That's how I built the patterns that I do. I wouldn't say that I created, but that I discovered rather, because I don't really ever claim to have created anything, because I feel like when you claim that you created something, there's footage of somebody in the 80s doing almost exactly what you were doing, and you're like, oh shit, I guess I didn't create that. But you discovered it, you know what I mean? And I discovered a lot of things through just labbing it up, man. I was in love with just footwork at one point. So I would just sit there and practice by myself, and I would have the best practices just by myself, just moving slowly, creating patterns. But to answer your question, I just think of the structure of foundational footwork and then taking it to the next level, like making it different somehow with the same, but having us have the same integrity as the original that you took it from, having the same strength and form.
I see. So like, we also had this talk before, this idea of essence, the breaking essence, where if you were to change something up, or if you were to discover something, or come up with something, are you always thinking about an essence, like to really keep it to the foundation, where it's like not necessarily exactly how people back then did it, but more like the conviction and the spirit of it, of breaking is still in it? Is that how you see it with your patterns?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of people, well, the thing about footwork is what is footwork? A lot of people have different definitions, you know, like, I mean, obviously it's not power moves.
Yeah.
But it's, a lot of people don't consider, like, I know old school New York cats don't consider, if you say you're doing footwork or in a footwork competition, they won't do knee rocks, they won't do sweeps, they don't really consider leg work stuff footwork.
Yeah.
But I mean, I consider all of that footwork. I feel like you have to connect it somehow. You have to maintain the essence, the feel of footwork, even if you're doing leg work, or even if you're doing like knee rocks or back rocks. Some people don't consider back rocks footwork. I think it's footwork. Yeah, you have to pull it. You have to pull it back into footwork. I feel like foot steps. Like you can do one sweep many different ways. You know what I mean? So it's just all what you do before and what you do after. Really, in my opinion.
So it's almost like the in-betweens, you know, from one step to another, the in-betweens that you could come up with.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So play around and have fun.
For sure.
Another thing is, you train hard. I mean, how old are you?
I'm 31. I'll be 32 in October.
This guy's 31. He helped me train for BC1 Cyphers. We went like 14 rounds. Was it like 3-3, 4-4?
Yeah.
Each section we only had like 5 minutes rest or whatever. Like, you definitely have a lot of stamina. So how is it that you train for these kinds of things? With muscle fatigue getting in the way, you know, breath and lung. So what is it that you do, if you could share some of that?
I learned a lot of stuff from Flowmaster when I first started, and I take a lot of inspiration from MMA and how those guys train. Like, I was doing a lot of like that style of training, like running, but kind of trying to gear it more towards what we do, more towards like how you would structure a battle. Like you do a round, you rest, you do a round, you rest. So I would do it in intervals. I would really try to max out and burn myself out and then rest. rest like for a round, and then max myself out, whether it's running or I had a regimen where I would sprint, and then I would come back. I would sprint around a track at the gym, and then I'll come back and I'll do like 20 push-ups, and then I'll hold a freeze for like 20 seconds. Like just a simple freeze, but something to, to tire yourself out. Or I have another version where instead of the push-ups, I would do a footwork step. So it's just basically like trying to push yourself when your heart rate's already up, when you're already breathing deep, But I don't really do that much anymore. I battle train now. Like I actually battle. I'll just, like, me and my brother will go rounds every time we practice, and we go rounds until someone gives up. And I'll do that with a lot of my crewmates, and I feel like that really helps. I feel like that helps more than anything. I feel like if you run, if you swim, if you do cross training and stuff like that, that can support your stamina, but you have to battle. What we do is so unique that you can't really, as hard as you try, you can't really simulate what we do. You have to actually do it. It's kind of like I said, I take a lot of inspiration from MMA. It's kind of like fighters sparring.
Yeah.
Like you have to spar in order to really, you have to get in there and do it, because the way I think about it is if you're doing an exercise, if you're running, if you're doing push-ups, if you're doing whatever, you can time your breathing. You have a certain breathing pattern. But when you're dancing, you don't really have a breathing pattern, because sometimes you have to hold your breath to pull a move,
right.
Or it's just very, very different. So I feel like the only way to get stamina for battling and for going rounds is actually going rounds.
There's too many intangibles in breaking when it comes to your breath, when it comes to how you want to section off different rounds and different moves. There's so many things that you gotta like account for, you know. And there's just like fighting, we gotta spar, and that's why sometimes we'll say to each other like, hey, let's spar, let's go 5 rounds.
For sure.
Let's go 6 rounds.
I have a saying that goes, and I took this from The Ultimate Fighter actually. They would say, I forget who was coaching, but he would always say, you train so hard that the fight is easy. And I always say, you train so hard that the battle is easy.
Yeah. Mike Tyson would say that too.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. He would be like, the training is the hard part. The fighting is the easy part.
No, for sure. That's what I try to do. That's what I want to do. I want to be well acquainted with the pain, with the hurt, so that like when it's time to go, it's like second nature.
A battle is a battle, and the way you train, I feel like you're definitely aware of what you need to do and how you need to do it. And it's always going to be a learning process. So good luck to you on that. And before we end, is there anything you want to shout out, or anyone you want to shout out to?
Shout out to my family, Sophia and my son Robes. They support me in everything I do. I wouldn't be the b-boy or the man I am today if it wasn't for them. Shout out to my crew, Battleborn, my brothers. Shout out to my brother Guillaume. He's my partner in crime. That's my dog right there. Shout out to all the b-boys out there, all the people that live this, that live and love this dance and this culture. And that's about it. Shout out to Calamities and Lancer and Aeronetic, the homies.
Yeah, it's a great experience dancing with ATN. So if anyone ever comes to town, in Las Vegas, go bother him like I did. It's dope, but just don't be a punk.
Now be ready to battle though, for real.
Yeah. Oh, and that's another thing. Every time you're in his town, he'll be sure to defend it.
That's right.
And rightfully so. I think every city should have their defenders, and I think ATN is one of them that really makes that an apparent statement. So good shit to you on that, man.
Thank you.
Cool. So peace and good luck with everything else. Calamity Corner. Tight.